Hi there. Not for the first time during a contemplation or an introspection, I uh, I have thought of all the things that I want. I want this and that. I want her or him. I want to be. I want to attain. I want to be noticed. I want to be acknowledged. I want to win the Oscar for Best Picture Music. Um, so many things that I want. There's always something to want, isn't there, really? But you know what what I really want, not I don't know what you want, but what I really want, and I can discern this during a contemplation at least, is I really want God. And there is this longing for God, for the connection to God and to the divine. And that's what all this wanting represents. Um, Basically, you could replace all the objects that I want and all the states of mind that I want to be in, and all the circumstances and situations that I want or would like, that I desire. You could replace them all with just God, and I don't even know what that means intellectually. I just know that it's the sum of all that I want, perhaps in a sort of form of a point within the circle. So there's God, and then there's a circle which represents everything that I want, and everything that I want, that I want in the future. Let us say, um, all the things that I don't know I want yet, and you put them all in a sort of bag, and you shake the bag up, and then basically you suddenly discover there isn't anything in the bag, and so God must be this empty space, this empty bag, which nevertheless is everything that I want, which is nothing, no thing, or no condition, or no circumstance, or no state or state of mind or whatever. It's just God. That's what I really want. And then the other thing about it is things, pictures arise, and thought. Well, pictures arise of people and places, and then I don't know, feelings arise as well. And it seems to me that each one of these feelings, which is of course related to people and places that I see in my mind's eye, they all come sort of crowding in. Each one of these little feelings has a sort of charge around it. It's like a kind of sticky tape, if you like. And there's a charge around that one, and there's a charge around that one. And but then again, if you take away the images and you take away the emotions, all you've got is these sort of empty charges. They look like black rolls of sticky tape, and there's nothing actually that they're sticking to, or nothing that can stick to them. They're just sort of black shells of stickiness, if you like, and they are the emotional charges around the emotion. So you've got your emotion, you've got your object that makes you emotional, but then you've got this charge. And this charge makes me sort of focus on that emotion and focus on that person or circumstance or memory, or even something which is yet to come. And I can't sort of unfocus from it. It sticks to my consciousness, if you like, and it becomes sort of looms up, and I can't sort of stop this thought from sticking to my sort of consciousness, which is kind of this sort of bubble that would be free and would be empty of all this emotional charge, were it not for the image and for the emotion attached to the image. But but imagine if God's love replaced the images and the emotions. What charge would that be? What charge would that have around God's love? And it would be just love, really. So that would be so it's like that would be an okay charge to have, because it would just be all these desires, all these emotions, all this emotional charge around everything will be reduced to one simple, simple thing, which would be God's love, and also love for God, which is agape. So it's a kind of vision of agape, or an experience of agape, where basically everything that you want dissolves in a sort of universal solvent to just one. And then this oneness, if you like, this God's love, that fills up everything that you can see in front of you in your mind's eye. And the only emotional charge that you have left is God's love. So everything is being taken away. And that which remains is an eternal freedom from desire, and eternal freedom from attachment, eternal freedom from the kind of stickiness of the emotional charge, which makes me want to focus on the thing that I'm seeing, as if that was the only thing that meant anything. But then, of course, it doesn't, because it's replaced by something else. My mind's constantly full of things that are changing. But then when these changeable things are replaced by agape, or love for the divine, then they become changeless. And there is just this one feeling and one emotional charge which fills the entire limit of my consciousness. And of course, I don't really even, but then I'm just talking about things maybe from the past or present, normally from the past. And what about the future? Things that I might not want to happen. I might not want to get coronavirus. I might not want, I don't know, my dogs to die. I might not want my partner to die. Not necessarily in that order, I have to say. Because I wouldn't want that. So, but we don't really. I mean, you could dwell on that, but you could replace all these sort of fears about the future with God's love, because the only future really is transcendence, is transcendence to be one with the Godhead. So if all other futures are null and void in any case. So I suppose it's a bit like, the past, the present, and the future, like three candles lit against the sun, and you can't see the candles anymore for the sunlight. That's basically what sort of picture I have in my mind at the moment when I'm talking about this. But I was sitting there and I wanted to make this video, and I was thinking, well, do you have to make this video? Because God's love could replace this video quite easily. And then you'd be liberated from the desire to make this video, and from the worries about making it, and whether you're going to say the right thing or whether you're going to say the wrong thing, and whether anyone's going to understand what you say, and you're worrying about all that. But there's no need to worry about that, because God's love replaces all things that are wanted, and all things that you could feel emotional about. So everything is kind of like distilled into its essence, which is all just God. And this, you could say this, you don't even have to believe in two gods or a demiurge and a transcendental God. This is like between my consciousness and the transcendental God, or God itself. So I think that's, an interesting result from a contemplation. And I've had it before, but I've never really had the courage to speak about it. And then again, the only reason to speak about this on YouTube in a public arena is because is maybe to invite other people to sit down for 2 minutes a day and just concentrate on your breathing, and just allow your mind to naturally focus on various things that have been and various things that could have been and should have been and must have been when you didn't see it or something, and just to discharge all the emotion from all these things that you want and all these things that you don't want, etc., and the past and the present and the future, and just do release on the whole thing as you breathe in and breathe out. And the only thing that really matters is love for God, or agape. Everything else is of absolute no consequence whatsoever. But of course, it's easy to say that when you're sitting comfortably in a chair, breathing in and breathing out. Not so easy to say these things when you're in the midst of in a queue, a shopping queue, or a traffic jam or something like that, and you're impatient and you want to get somewhere, and there are obstacles all around you. And then it's not so easy. It's not so easy to look at this either when you're fed up that you haven't done what you wanted during the day, and you haven't been productive, and you'll never get anywhere like that, as they say to you, or as they've always said to you. um, but then you just have to literally sort of go into this, remember the contemplation that you did, I suppose, and say, well, that the truth is that none of what you want means anything at all. The past, the present, and the future, and everything, your relationship to this world means nothing at all compared to your relationship with God, then the transcendental God. Um, and then hopefully, if you remember that, remember the results of your contemplation, when you're in a situation that is stressful, inherently stressful, then that might be of some service to you. And so therefore, talking about this contemplation here now, as I have, might be of service to others who might be thinking about the contemplative life, and whether it actually will be of help to them, or maybe just not even help exactly. That's probably the wrong word. It's just going into a state of total equanimity and balance, and that will be the best thing that you could ever experience in any one point of the day. And it just has literally 2 minutes a day. I mean, we're not talking about hours of contemplation, hours of meditation, and hours of mantra, and hours of prayers and things like that. Which kind of exhausts me really, and which exhausts most people, because Westerners as well, because we don't. We live in a world so full of distractions that we'll be lucky to get 2 minutes of meditation a day out of our sorry existence, because we don't live in an ashram, we don't live in the forest, we don't have a begging bowl. We are here on this planet, in this human society, whether we're living in India or Nepal, or because modern society has even got there now. So we don't. You'll be lucky. You have to grab these moments of agape when you can and while you can, and certainly while you can, because each of these moments is going to add up, I feel, to a metaphysical change in your soul, or in the connection between soul and mind, from which you will never what's the right word, fall. Yes, you will never fall from the state of grace that you can experience during contemplation, eventually. And that's wonderful. That's a good thought to think about for the future, and really perhaps is a thought which destroys all other thoughts about the future that you could possibly have. Certainly negative futures, but even positive ones, because the positive ones don't mean anything anyway compared to agape. So sometimes my mind goes round and round this issue. It's sometimes hard to get to the heart of this issue. Really, you sort of skirt around it. It's hard to kind of disclose or self-disclose to the point where your soul is actually exposed to the world. And some say perhaps that's not such a great idea because there are those that are jealous of our freedoms. They're jealous of our spiritual freedom. And self-disclosure might lead them to to get rather nasty about about your agape experience and try to persuade you that you never had the experience in the first place, or you're delusional, or or you're weak, or something like that. But you are strong, and you have the breastplate of the Lord. You have found your liquid diamond center, which is the hardest and the softest place in the universe, from which nobody and nothing can distract you ultimately. So keep doing your 2 minutes a day. Keep doing your introspection. Keep doing your breathing awareness exercise. It's very simple. There's no big rituals and robes to wear or you know incense to burn or whatever. There was nothing. There was nothing but your breath and God.